until I see an eyeball and then we'll get going. And then I know it's all working. Oh, I've got first eyeball. First eyeball too. Good morning everybody, I hope you're all well. Happy Tuesday. Where's the snow? That is the question. We were expecting snow this morning and we didn't have any. Rubbish, isn't it? You're not happy. Right, good morning everybody, hope you're all well. Here we are for yet another lockdown art lesson. Today we are going to be thinking a little bit, our influence is a little bit on Chinese New Year. And we haven't done a lot of 3D work, I'm aware, during these lessons, just because it's quite a tricky thing to do at home, and it's especially tricky if you're doing a one-off lesson. Not very many people have the things that you would expect to do with 3D, like clay, wire, all the fancy things that you can get hold of easily in school, but not necessarily at home. So we haven't done a lot of 3D work, so this is a good way to show you how to do some 3D sculpting techniques that we're going to use for a puppet, but of course you could use for anything that you have at home. I think Auntie Jackie's watching. Now I'm going to do something really, really unprofessional at happy birthday. You want to say happy birthday?
Happy birthday.
You can only come in, she can't see you.
Ah, okay.
Stick your head in. It's my little sister's
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
My little sister's birthday. Right, so back on to what we should be doing. Right, so we're going to make these puppets now. I did a lot of mock-ups last night just because I haven't done this as a lesson in a really long time. So this is kind of the thing that we're aiming towards. It's not been decorated too much. Hello Mrs. Dewar, nice to see you. It's not been decorated too much. I know you creative crew will manage to decorate this much better than Mrs. C's done. But it's just to get you an idea of what it is that we're aiming towards. Now this is, I would say, an A5 size piece of paper for the head this size. We're going to go half that size, so our puppet that we're making today will be half the size of this.
Oh, okay.
It won't be as big, okay? I even had a shot, I don't know if you can see it last night, I even had a shot of making a really, really big one last night. So this is a big one, and it's actually made out of tissue paper in the middle, okay? So I have asked you, resource-wise, for making your small one with us, to have a small piece of A4 card. Small piece of A4 card. Now you're going to cut out 2 heads out of this and 2 tails. Okay, so eventually it will be A6. So it'll be a quarter the size of this. So it seems quite big at the minute, but you're going to get 4 body parts out of this. You're also going to need for the spring. Now I said A3 paper, just because it's easier if you have A3 paper. If you don't have A3 coloured paper, A4 is fine, and you can stick it together with glue or sellotape. Which so you'll need 2 sheets. Now to make your spring easier, I recommend having 2 different colours, just because then you can see it. You can see what you're doing. If you want to go for 2 of the same colour, that's totally fine. It just might be a little bit more confusing. And as I said, you don't have to have A3, you could have A4 and stick them both together. It's just you need long strips of paper. Long strips of paper. If you only got A4, you can join it all together to make your long strip. It will just take you a little bit longer. So we've got 2 bits of coloured paper, we've got a piece of card. I put on the instructions that, see what you have at home. We're lucky, we have got a lot of stuff at home. So we've got oil pastels for colouring and doing our design. We've also got, that's my inspiration for today, we've also got Sharpies, a box of those, oops. And my favourite thing, and if you don't have these at home, I really recommend you go get them because they're great fun, especially if you're using black, are chalk pens. They're fab. Give really, really nice colours and a really, really nice effect. So that is for doing all the colour part. Now I am not going to bore you today for half an hour by sitting colouring in my dragon. My dragon I'm just going to draw, and then I'm just going to put it together and we'll leave you guys later on to do all the colouring in. Okay? Right, extra things as well for decorating, so you might want to have some ribbon. If you look at the tail of that one, it's a mare dragon by the way, yeah. So you might want to have some ribbon to stick onto it. You might want to have some feathers, you might want to have some long bits of tissue paper or crepe paper, you might want to have some good old goggly eyes instead of drawing the eyes. So anything like that, you go for. when it comes to the decoration part with these lessons, I leave that up to you. That's when you get to be creative. I show you how to make it, then I disappear. And then you send me all your photos and I go, wow, they are amazing. Okay? So if you haven't joined us before, that's how we work. We do the lesson together, we do the tricky part together, and then I disappear and let him finish his off, and I finish mine off, and then you send me in your photograph at the end so I can see how you go on. Okay. Right, so I think that's about everything. I think we've covered all the resources. No, actually, no, we've not. Technical things that you will also need are, you'll obviously need, if you're turning them into puppets, something to hold them up with. I've gone for good old kitchen skewers. Let's get my skewer at that cup for me, please. Kitchen skewers. These are great because they're strong, they're quite cheap. Normally people have them, and you can actually colour them in as well. So you can actually draw on top of the wood with pens or Sharpies or whatever you want to use. Actually, Sharpie's a better idea because the ink comes off in your hand when you're holding it, so go with a permanent pen if you can. So these are great. If you don't have these, straws will work just as well, or sticks from the garden. Anything you want, but you need these if you want to turn it into a puppet. You'll also need some scissors, a pencil and some glue. That's probably quite obvious. And I never added this until late last night, so apologies for that. Sellotape. Sellotape's pretty good as well, or masking tape. Just anything to stick your sticks on with. So that is us covered everything. You need a piece of card, 2 pieces of A3 paper, something to draw with, something to cut with, something to stick with, and something to decorate with, and then you're good to go. Okay, right, ready to go? I'm going to share a secret with you. He doesn't want to do this. I'm making them. He's not bothered, he thinks it looks hard, and it is quite tricky. I put this on the page last night as well. So if you are quite young, if you are below primary 4 and you think you're going to find this tricky, feel free to colour this in, cut it out and stick it onto a piece of card. So print it off and then colour it in. You don't have to freehand draw, but I am going to show you a way to draw this face really easily just using lines and shapes. It's not as tricky as it looks if you break it all down into sections. Okay, so if you are finding this a bit tricky, feel free to print this off. I've printed off for a couple just in case his lordship decides not to do it. Also, I'm going to pre-warn you, we had Mrs. Deer's watching, I don't know if she had one as well, we had a massive power cut this morning in Abernethy. It went on for about half an hour, nearly 40 minutes. The lights just flickered there. So if I go, it's probably that we've lost Wi-Fi and we've gone off. So if I do disappear, I apologise. Right, let's get started. I've done too much blethering, my throat's getting sore. Okay, Alex, first things first. We've covered the table as well, you might have noticed, don't get confused by this clean bit of paper. First things first, what I want you to do is I want you to fold your card in half, portrait direction, like you're making a card. Now, the fold is not important. We're not doing origami, so please don't worry if your fold has gone a little bit squint. If you do find this tricky, because it's card, it's quite thick, but bring it up to the top of a corner, hold it, line up your second top corner, tippy toe your fingers in the middle, draw one hand down, the other hand down, slide across, and make sure you've got a nice crease. Okay? So that's what you need first of all, half the card. We are then going to really confuse matters by folding it again, with this time landscape. So I'll show you that again. We're going to bring up our card, we're going to combine those 2 corners together, hold it in place, combine those 2 corners together, hold that with tippy toe the fingers into the middle, and then hold one hand down, bring it down, hold one hand down, bring it across. Alex, you don't need to watch me on the screen. You're right across. Alex is busy watching me doing it on this. You can watch me, I'm right in front of you. Thank you. You have a front row seat. Yeah. Okay, so when you open it up, you'll have 2 folds. You'll have one that way, that way. So that helps you decide what side you want it to be. Right, we're going to keep it like this just now. Okay? I'm going to keep it like this just now. And where the fold is, it won't actually really matter what way you do it, but where the fold is, that is the size of your dragon. So fold it all together just so it makes life a little bit easier. And what we'll do is we will draw, do you want to draw tail or face first? I'll let you decide. What do you guys want to do? the other face first. Should we do the easy? Do you want to do the easy one first or the tricky one?
Face.
The face. Right. I'm going to draw just so that you can see at home on the black card with a white pen. It's not as forgiving as a pencil. Shape Alex, pencil. Yeah, make it all look again. Just fold it all and get yourself a pencil. Right, so we're going to do a step by step on how to draw this dragon's face. And it doesn't matter if you go left to right with your instructions. I've probably flipped reversed. So when I see left at home, I'm probably looking like I'm doing it right. So don't panic what way around you do it. It will not make any difference. At the minute, we're just cutting out the shape. So, first thing, where the edge of the card is, left or right, I just want you to draw a back to front C shape. I'll show you and then you do. Yeah. This is the mouth of your dragon. And these always end up being unique every time that you do them. So that's step one, and that will be the mouth. Okay, so I'll do, then you do, and then join back. And because I've got Alex with me here, he gives me a good real-time experience around it. That's probably what you're doing at home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, please. I hope you're not all as slow at home as Alex is, however. You don't need to do it with the chalk pen, by the way. I said use a pencil. I'm only doing it with that so that everyone can see. Yeah, I'm not joking, you know. I told you, go get a pencil. The pencil's different. Don't pull it out, you just need to you may as well just keep going now. Okay. Right, next up what we're going to do is we're going to draw the bridge of the mouth and the underneath of the jaw. Now I should have said, you want that to meet the edge of the paper. Please don't leave a space, then have it. It's just so much cutting out that you don't need to do, and also it'll make your dragon head really, really, really small. So above and below it now, I'll draw, then you do. What I want you to do is draw a curved shape. Now, if you're not feeling very confident, just make it smooth. Don't do any bumps or anything fancy at the minute, then you can go back and change it. And then you're just going to draw a second curved shape around there. You see that one, okay? It looks like a spanner, doesn't it? Like a tool. Okay? Yeah. That's it. You've just done a C shape and then a bit above for the top of the mouth, because dragons have got big snouts. So you're doing the top of the snout and you're doing the underneath of the snout. Okay, happy? And you can make that as tall or as narrow as you want. Okay, I also put lots of different examples of dragons on the Facebook page, so if you're a little bit confused right now about what you could do next, then go for it. Happy? Okay, next up we are just going to draw up the way for its eye. Okay, and then we're just going to draw up again for the top part of the head. So I've done like 2 bumps, like that. Okay, 2 bump shapes. Bring it up to the top of the card. Make sure you bring it up to the top of the card to keep it as big as possible. Okay, brilliant. Then we're just going to then put a curve that just forms the shape of the neck. Is that okay? It's not just like a curved shape, but I'm just going to go over that line just a little bit heavier, just so you can see it a little bit better at home. And this is quite basic at the minute. It's a really, really basic shape, but if you look at it, all it is a load of curving shapes. Okay, and I know there's nothing like a dragon at the minute before you criticise. Right, next up, what we're going to do is we're going to bring our teeth back a little bit, our mouth back a little bit. I'm just going to draw in some teeth. Okay, we're going to need some nostril holes. Yep. you might want to put in a shape for an eye, or if you're planning on adding a goggly eye. You might want to add an eyebrow above that. You don't have to do that, of course. You might want to add a shape around the mouth, which will make your dragon more interesting. Templates there. You don't keep looking at me. Now another thing that I'm going to do, because I would love to get some dragon scales in this to make it look quite authentic. So the next thing that I'm going to do is attached to that, I'm just going to put some triangles. And earlier I was saying how much I love chalk pens. They're great until you smudge them because they're not quite wet. So I've just done a zigzaggy line down the side there, and that's going to help me then have a big space that can start to be the body. Okay, got your zigzags? Right, now before we move on and we talk a little bit about decorating the part of the body that you can see, you can only see a little bit of it. I know, I see the lights are flickering. I just wanted to show you the formation of the scales that are on the body of the dragon. Now they're a little bit like the slates on a roof or the bricks on a wall, okay? So to make it really, really strong, they have a slight overlap. They also remind me a little bit of fish scales, okay? So when you come to decorate your scales, if you're planning to put scales on your dragon, if you have a row of curved shapes like this, when you place the next ones in, they will happen in between the row above. Like that. Okay, so when it comes to decorating the dragon, you don't have them like this. Okay, you want to try and have them so that they're staggered in between. Just to be heads up for you. Right, so now, in the space that's left, I'm just going to start adding in some of those scales. Now also, I said earlier that that's quite a smooth line. If you want to make your design a bit more complicated and have some extra triangles in it to make it a bit more ferocious, you could even have curves, doesn't have to be zigzags, it could be something quite organic, go for it. My little girl loved the dragon I did last night. She's crying out for me making her a unicorn one, so I'm going to have to try and work out a way. I actually haven't put a horn in that. Not left enough space for a horn, she's not going to be happy. I'll add one. I'll glue one. Right, so yeah, you could add some more scales in there. Good morning, Morag, it's nice to see you. I'm just going to add some scales in here. And then we are going to... Yeah. And as I said earlier, it honestly doesn't matter if you have cut and drawn this opposite way from me. Right, Alex, could you pass me a second some scissors? Next up, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this back up and just help with my size a little bit. Now I need to have two of them, and I need them to be symmetrical. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut right across here, landscape. And because I am a lazy person, I don't know if I've said this before, now it's up to you. You could cut this out and then draw around it to get to. I'm quite lazy. So because I've kept it hinged, I'm going to refold it and now I'm going to cut it out because then I'll get two for the price of one. Okay, so I'm just going to start cutting out my dragon's head. And as I said earlier, I am not going to bore you for half an hour by colouring this out. It'll take forever. And because these are live art lessons, we can't speed things up. So a lot of the YouTube art lessons that are on just now have been pre-recorded and they've been edited. Because this is live, which means you can do it along with me, you can type in any problems that you're having, you can just say hello to me if you want. It's a little bit different. Now don't forget to cut into that. So I rarely get a chance to finish off my art lessons. It's normally a little bit like Blue Peter where I have a little bit sort of started. Hi Macy, nice to see you today. Okay, so Alex, back in your seat please. Let me start cutting out. If you've joined us before, you know that this is my class clown, and this is the one that takes forever to get anything done. So we've now got 2 for the price of 1 because we kept that crease there, and it meant when we were cutting it was a bit tricky because it was double bits of cardboard. It was a bit hard for the old scissors, but it saves a little bit of hassle. If you didn't do it that way and you just cut out one, use it as a template, draw around it, and then cut it out. So you'll have 2 heads. And maybe lots of you are wondering, why do we have to have 2 heads, Mrs. C? To be honest with you, if you're up for making a messy one today, just have one. And you can have sellotape on the back with the skewer, and you can have the spring attached there. If you're maybe just having it as a wall decoration so no one can see that, that's fine. If you want it to be a moving puppet, have 2. Because then what you can do is you can decorate 2, stick them back to back, and you can sandwich, that's upside down, you can sandwich everything in so you don't see all the mess, okay? But the thing is, when you decorate them, make sure that you decorate the right side. Don't decorate them both in the same direction, because then when you stick it on, you won't see the decorations. Okay, so make sure, if you even want to have them back to back, so you know, because there's nothing worse than decorating the wrong side and then realising when you stick it on, it's not going to work. Okay, so that's enough about doing the head. The tail, you will be so happy to know, is much easier. We did the hardest one first. Let's sweep this out of the way just now and put it out of the road. Right. Yeah, you're supposed to be cutting it out instead of sitting and staring at me. Okay, now, we've got... Before you cut it out, cut it along that way first. Alex often looks at me, and he smells and nods, and he looks like he understands, and then when it comes to doing it... But this is good, because this is what's like being in a classroom. I gather you all around the table, we all look, we all smile, we all nod, then you go back to your seats, and then sometimes we just completely forget what we were supposed to be doing. This is why I like doing it live. Right, why did you cut that out in the middle? No, I didn't. I told you to cut it out across the way.
No, you said just cut it out.
Now, you can cut it out and then draw around it like a template. You can do it the way that I said you could do it if you want to. Right, cut it out quickly, please. Everybody's waiting. Right, when it comes to doing the tail, what I want you to do is make sure it's going to be the same width as your dragon. Hold it out so you can see. If it's not the same width, it means that when you put your spring in the middle, it might have a smaller tail to attach to, so it will be a little bit wonky. So make sure your tail width is going to be the same as your head width. So before you start, I would have them side by side, just so you can make sure that you've got your side right. Right, you'll need to now draw around that again so you get 2. And with the tail is nowhere near as hard. Because if you look at it, all it is a triangle shape with a bit of a curve to it. If you want to do one like that, you could just have a spike.
Which then I have to do this again.
You could have one that's like the fishtail. Yeah, you have to draw around that. That's why I told you not to cut the hinge, because it would... No, I didn't say. Did I say that?
So I have to draw this again.
But you can go around it like a template. But you'll need to draw the design in here. I'm trying to do it quickly. It's waiting.
We want to do it quickly.
You done right the first time, you went so slow. I'm just going to put a little bit of shape to this. It curve a little bit more. I'm really annoyed that I was so busy talking that I forgot to put a horn in it for Mel. She asked me to make her a unicorn one. I completely forgot. I'll just need to tie. I'll just need to make a unicorn horn out of an extra bit of card and stick it on last. Right, while you're waiting on Alex, feel free to decorate.
Again,
Why have you moved it?
Well,
Have you drawn out the whole shape? Right, now cut it out. While we're waiting on Alex, feel free to be colouring in your other side. I'm going to do that while I'm waiting. Not holding it. So make sure they're going to work out. White. And the great thing is with this, you can make your second side totally different to the other side. So it doesn't need to look exactly the same as this. Your mouth could change slightly. You've got things to help you, of course, but your colours could also change. Or the shape of your teeth could change, the amount of teeth you've got. Not quite boring. Mine will probably just be exactly the same. into them, please. I'm going to go for my eye now. You done what's pastel? Right, you happy with it? Does it match up? Right, okay. Cool. I'm just gonna, now that I've started this, I might as well finish it.
Which I've got to do this the second time. I don't understand what you mean.
So what will happen is, we'll just go like that. So you need to decorate that side so it looks the same. But don't do that yet because I want to get on with this piece. Right, so we've got, Mrs. C's got her 2 dragon heads. Both decorated. This one's not as fancy as that one, but hey ho. Right, next up we're going to do is the tail. So you should have a long length of card left. So now what to do is take one of your heads, place it next to the card. Alex, pay attention please. In fact, cut that down the middle for me now please.
Okay.
Hurry up. Put them side by side. I put a little mark there just so you know the width that you're aiming for. And then I would just draw the shape you want your tail to be. For simple reasons, I am going to keep mine just a triangle today. Okay? And because I'm feeling lazy, I've kept it hinged so that when I cut it out, I'll get my 2 for the price of 1. Okay? So you have cut your paper already in 2. So on 1, I want you to draw the tail shape that you want, but make sure it's the same width as your head. You don't want it to be thinner. Okay? Cool. Right, I'm going to cut this out now. Just draw a tail shape, the same width as the head. So that's your width. So it needs to be as wide, but it can go as narrow as you want it to. And if you're feeling it's tricky, just draw a triangle like that. Okay. Now because I have my hinge, I've got 2. Okay. I'm going to cut them down the middle. And you can decorate those in. Oh, nice. Lovely. Right, cut it out now, please. Right, so you can now decorate this any way you want. Again, you could make them all different. Or you could make them both exactly the same. I'm just going to put a wee zigzag in there. And I'm going to look back at the way my head is, try and have my scales in the same direction. And remember that formation for your scales. So you'll have a row, and then your second row will sneak in the middle. Okay, you happy? Now you're going to have Alex draw around that as a template on your second bit of card. Okay. You all okay at home? You're all doing okay? Hello, Alex. Speak up, please. Am I too quiet? Oh, I've never been told that before. Does it say seek or speak? Speak up, please. I think it's speak. I'll speak up if it is that. Mr. C's normally tell me to stop talking and be quiet. Isn't he? And Mirren said something very rude to me the other day that I'm not repeating on public domain. Oof. That's not happening. Right, decorate my tail. It's quite boring compared to the one I did last night. But I've done that. Right, have you cut both your tails out? No, you've still not cut both your tails out. You're on a go slow today, mister. Which is worrying me because once you get this finished, Alex Cochrane, you have got about 6 things to do on seasonal. Yeah, I'll just decorate this while I'm waiting on Alex. I hope you're all okay at home. I'm not going to colour it in today, I'll colour it in once the camera stops rolling, just to warn you. But I'll show you how you can do it. That's the good thing with this, you can keep tinkering with it once you've stuck it all together. You don't have to have it all finished in this time, and you can spend as long as you're on it as you want, or you could even just do it as a line drawing and leave it. Right, so I have got my 2 tails that are going to join together once I've sandwiched the spring in the middle and the skewer to hold it. And I've got my 2 heads, which are also going to stick together once I have stuck the spring and the skewer into it. So for now, I am just going to put them to the side, apart from one. I'm going to keep one there. You alright? Mm-hmm. Let's just cut it complete mess here. Right, let's cut this out. I don't think we need that anymore either. Right, for the body of your dragon, you've got 2 choices. There's an easy way and there's a tricky way. I'll show you the easy way first, and then I'll show you the tricky way. So it depends if you're up for a challenge or not today. So both options are springs. So they're both, one's tighter than the other, one's much looser, and one you only need 1 strip of paper for. And you've probably seen it before. But what you'll need to do is make sure that it's not wider than your head. It can be narrower or it can be exactly the same size. It's up to you. So use this as your measurement guide. So what I'm going to do is I'll do it 10 just so you can see. I'm going to put my dragon's head down at the bottom corner of my paper. So I know that's how wide I need it to be at the bottom. And I'm just going to put a little line there so that I know that's how wide I need my strip of paper to be. Now, I didn't say to bring a ruler, but if you want a ruler to make sure that's straight, go for it. If not, what I would do is put your head away back at the other side and put the same mark. Okay, so you now know that you've got to try and cut from one spot to the other. That's how long you need your strip of paper to be. Do you want to just go for the easy way today? And you're not really feeling it.
Today?
For making the body of your dragon. Do you want the easy one or the tricky one? Right, do what I've just done there again. Okay, right, so I'm just going to cut away down to the bottom of that 2nd mark to get my strip of paper. Now, how long you want your body to be is up to you. Okay, if you want it to be a really long dragon, do this twice and stick them together to make the paper longer. If you're happy with it just being this length, go for it. And it's just doing a good old concertina fold. Okay, so what you're doing is at the bottom of the paper, you're just going to fold up a finger width and then give it a really nice fold. Really nice fold. Then flip the paper over. With the bottom of the paper, bring it up, but when you see the edge of the paper, stop and place another fold. So you're flipping and folding. Flip and fold. Flip and fold. And you're just doing that a number of times. Now that is just to get a spring, a flat spring. It's not very tight and it's not the tricky option. I'm going to speed up now and then I'm going to show you the tricky one. Right, cut that out please. Okay, keep going. And make sure every time you fold, whenever you're doing folded paperwork, 3D work, make sure that you're folding really nicely. So really run that finger along those creases. Don't just slam it down. That's just bending the paper. It's not really giving that a fold. So you notice your paper's getting a nice thick pile now. Okay. I'll give you this one once I'm finished if you want. If you want lilac, that is. No, you don't. Right, that's me at the end now. Okay, so this is your easy option. And then that just opens up to make your spring, which will help your body move. So you then will glue one part of that to your tail and one part of it to the head. Okay, it keeps all the mess inside. But I'm going for a trickier version than that, so I'm just going to put this inside for now. I thought Alex would want it, but he's not wanting it. You can always use it for something. You could use it for legs or come out the back. Ooh. Cut the horn. I could use this for the horn. Right, sit at the side just now. Right, you're going to do a concertina fold. So back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. So fold, flip, fold, flip, fold, flip, fold, flip. Right, boys and girls and grown-up helpers. Here is how to do the tighter spring. Now this is the same sort of technique. It's flipping and folding and flipping and folding. But this time round you need 2 pieces of paper. And to make your life easy, I would, if I was you, cut one strip of one of your colours and the other strip of the other colour. But the same thing has to happen. you have got to make sure that it's not wider than the head of your dragon or the tail of your dragon, whatever your measurement is. So I'm just going to use my head here to measure, and I'm going to cut down the middle. Okay. Make sure you're running your fingers along that every time you're moving Alex, so it's got a nice piece. Okay. Now, just like the concertina fold number 1, if you want your dragon body to be really long, cut 2 strips of paper. If you're not too fussed about how long it is, and you want quite a small one, just do it once. I'm going to do it twice, because Mira wants a big one. So I'm just going to cut that out there. Is everyone okay? No one's struggling. You've made it, it's not really finger width, so it's quite wide, Alex's concertina fold. It'll still work, but I would have liked it to be just a little bit narrower. Right, you're going to stick one side of that up against the dragon's body, and the other side against the tail. So that becomes the body. Okay. Now the good news is the next time round I don't need to keep measuring with my head, I'm just going to measure with this now. So I've got 2 strips of lilac, and I'm just going to measure now 2 of the pink.
Wait, so do I use this sofa bit right here?
Pardon?
Do I use the sofa?
It doesn't matter because you're going to sandwich it there. I probably wouldn't stick the whole thing behind the head because then you'll lose loads of your body. And there should be glue in the cup. Okay, we're just going to cut pink now. If you find this tricky, grab a ruler. Hi Abby, I hope you're well today. Did you get caught with the power cut this morning, Abby? We did. I just got in the shower after it happened, that's why we were a little bit late. Thankfully I was having a cup of tea, otherwise I would have been very grumpy. Right. Trickiest things have the Wi-Fi off for nearly an hour. They're very grumpy children. Right, I'll show Alex's so far. So he's stuck his very wide concertina fold there. Would have liked it to be a little bit tighter. Never mind. So he's now going to stick his tail to the other side. Okay. And it's quite messy. See how it's messy on that side? So that's why I'm saying if you aren't bothered about the mess and this is just going to get stuck up on the wall, it's not a puppet, don't stress about doing the second side. Cutting one out, I mean. But if you're planning on moving this about or doing a performance with it or something, you would want to have both sides so that your audience can see the other side as well. Right, stick that one now against the tail. Right, back onto the concertina fold that I'm going to show you. I call this an L-shaped fold. I don't know, it's got its technically not called that, but that's what it reminds me. Right, could you stick your tail in, please? And then once you've done that, you can just... No, but you can do that once it's all stuck together. Right, just for a second. Okay, what we need to do is we need to make, I call it an L-shaped fold because we start with an L now, appreciate the fact that at home that's going to be back to front. So what we do first of all is you stick your 2 bits of paper like it's an L. And this is one of 2 times that we stick them together. So we only use glue twice when we do this. Try not to get glue out the edges as well. Okay, you happy? Right, now what you do is the rule to this fold is whatever piece is underneath, you wrap it over the top. Okay, so the pink's lying on the top, but the lilac is underneath. So I'm going to bring this towards me. What you need a really big table for this, a big surface area. And you fold it when you see the edge of that pink. Okay? Like that. And the paper will get smaller and smaller and smaller as you go along. As it starts to run out, add your second bit on. I didn't do it at the beginning because then it would be too much to fold, 2 long pieces. Right, now I've got the pinks underneath. So I'm just going to fold that over the top. And again, if you're folding paper for 3D work, make sure that you are running your finger along that, make it really nice and creased. The lilac's now underneath, so I'm going to now want to stick skewers on the other side of that sellotape. The pink's now underneath, so I'm just going to bring that back on top. Or you can always decorate your tail while you're reading. That might be a fire drop to do this. The lilac's now on top. Underneath, sorry. The lilac's underneath, so we're going to put that on top. The pink's underneath, so I'm going to put that on top. Now, just before I do the last couple, that's where I would like to glue this bit of paper on to make it longer. But if you are happy with having your body as short as this, I'll show you, it's not glued together, but I'll show you how it starts to come together. If you're happy with your body being that size, you don't need to. I definitely want it to be bigger. Definitely. I'm just going to glue a bit on. And I'm just going to do 2 bits of paper, 2 strips, but of course you could go much longer if you want to. Okay, let's get my pink through as well. I've started this new routine of having a big bit of rubbish, cheap paper on the table instead of a table mat, because Mint likes to come and draw on it once we're finished. Just let her go for it with whatever materials are out. Right, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to bring that over. It's just landed on top of Alice's dragon. Hopefully you'll not end up sticking it to it. Pink one's coming across. And I have seen this done a few times on the internet when I was researching it over the weekend there, and somebody did a really, really nice one of doing thin strips, and they did 2 different springs. So I'm just going to attach 1 spring to my body, but he actually did 2. So feel free to experiment with this once you get the hang of it. Okay. I've also seen an example where it's not coloured paper the person's used, it's just printed paper out of a magazine. It looks really nice, really effective. You also could decorate these strips of paper first, so if you don't want them just to be plain paper, you could design this first, make it stripy, put patterns on it, use gold paint. Very, very, very common in Chinese design, bit of gold. Okay, we're nearly at the end, so this is my last one. Now when it comes to the last one, although I'm not sure if that, no, that lilac can be the last one. When it comes to the last one, you're going to glue that down in place. So we just need a little bit of glue there. Lipstick's fine, it's not very strong, so if you feel like you need a bit more strength, go with the PVA glue. But because it is 3D work, you do need good quality glue. Right, this bit that's hanging off the edge, I'm going to cut that off. I don't need that. Although actually, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to use that to attach onto my body. Right, actually, I will use that to attach this thing on, save me wasting a bit. Right, so what we're going to do to make it stronger, I am just going to now attach this to the body, but I'm going to attach it with sellotape just to make it really strong. So I've got my sellotape dispenser here. That's looking really nice. Sorry about the noise in a second. That sellotape, stick it there. Make it really strong, especially if you're going to be giving this a 3-year-old to play with. Grab yourself 2, oh, you've got your skewers on. Do you want to decorate your skewers with black Sharpie or anything? Do you want to decorate your skewers by drawing on them with black Sharpie? Make it nice. Right, she's just right, attach the spring onto the head, and it's a complete mess at the other side, so that's why I would then stick my other head on there once I've stuck the skewer in. Then I'm going to get one of my tails, make sure it's the right side of the tail. And then you're going to stick that on to there as well. So I'm just going to take the back of this spring here. And with this, you don't have to stick it on straight, you can actually stick it on at an angle. Actually put the triangle of it on. Oops, daisy. Stick that in place. Nearly done. Nearly there. Okay, so we've got the tail and we've got the body all attached. Okay, so next up, what I'm going to do, if you can see that all okay, is I'm just going to, while we're going with the sellotape, I'm just going to stick these skewers on. Skewer, Alex, stick your skewers on. Put them at the bottom of the head on the other side, like I've just done. If you would look, you can see. Okay, so that are the skewers attached, and as I said, if you want to colour those in to make them a bit more funky, a bit more cool, you can. But if I show you the other side, it's really untidy. So that's when I get my second side, and with some glue, I'm just going to stick it on. I'm just going to help Alex get the sellotape before he ends up. So grab the glue. Put a load of that on one side. And place that in there. Try and match it up perfectly. I'm going to move my skewer because it's right weird on the spikes. And you need a lot of this glue to make it really, really, really strong. This is maybe one really a better idea. So if you look at that now, so when that's moving, both sides will be decorated and look nice. Give it a whirl. And sandwich that in there. There you go. And stick this one in here. So that's the puppet. Oh, right there. Sorry. 10% back to me. Just swirling in the finish. That's nearly done. So we've made the puppet. It's just not as, fancy as you would expect to see at a plate. So now this is when you want to add some colour to it. You want to add on a unicorn horn, if you're making a unicorn style one. You might want to put some feathers, some sequins, you might want to have some bits of tissue coming out of the mouth, you want to have some ribbons coming out of the tail, whatever you feel works for you. You might want to decorate the sticks, and that's it. So this is the tight spring. Could you stop please? And of course you could do two thin ones, like the one that I saw on the internet, or you can go, Alex hasn't stuck his other side on yet, but you could go with just a spring that was in the middle as well. So if you're younger, you might find that easier. Shushed. Okay, pretty. I hope you've enjoyed that today. It was great fun. Thank you so much for joining in. Tomorrow, if you've got any little people in the house, or if you just want to have a little bit of fun, we're going to be doing blob dragons. You're not. Why is this blob dragons? So tomorrow is just looking at the face, not the body, not the tail, just the face, and getting really creative with it. So if you've got any little ones, that'd be a great one. Even nursery boys and girls will love that. Might even dragging it in there too. Next week's Primary 4 to 7 art lesson, we're going back to something that we did a long, long time ago in the first lockdown. We're going to be doing some optical illusion art. And there's actually going to be two options next week. So we're going to be, because it's Valentine's Day, I thought we'd go down the route of hearts. Not everybody will want to do a heart. Some people might just want to do a circle.
Yes.
You might be feeling love. Or you could always make a lovely Valentine's Day card for your mum. So it's got a heart theme, but you don't, please don't be put off by that if you're very anti-love. So it'll be an optical illusion lesson next week, and it will be at the same day. The infant, however, will have to be on Monday because I forgot that Wednesday is an in-service day, so we'll not be at school on Wednesday. So yeah, that's us. Happy decorating. I can't wait to finish the series finished. There hasn't been loads of yours today, so I'm hoping that when I post this you can catch up with it later, and I'll also stick it onto the YouTube page as well, so feel free to share. Thank you so much. Have a lovely remainder of your Tuesday.